heading into a thunderstorm and a lightning storm, and we really might not even get an opportunity to go up.
It was very much an order. When I shut down, you hit the floor on your stomachs, don't move, throw your poles away.
It was the point where he said, if the lightning gets any closer, and at that point we were just watching these lightning bolts pretty close. I was like, how close do they need to get before we are in actual danger?
Yeah. Hello and welcome to the T2 Fit Talks podcast, where we aim to educate and inspire individuals to achieve their full potential. I'm your host JT, and today in episode 4 we're going to be taking an access all areas look into our 3 Peaks Challenge experience. And to do that, I'm joined by not only one but 2 of our members here at T2 Fit, who are of course part of that team. We have Jacqui, aka Jax, and Kelly, aka Kelly. How are we?
Good.
This is actually very in unison already. I like it. This is actually very nice. This is new for me as well.
What,
2
having a
people,
sofa?
2 people and a sofa. Yeah, we don't normally have the sofas.
I think you should have it all the time.
I'm
It's a
actually
nice
quite a fan.
touch.
I'm actually quite a fan. How are we both?
Good.
Yeah, we're good. Excited.
sure?
Yeah.
Tell you at the end.
I'll tell you at the end. It'll be fine. First things first. Happy birthday for yesterday.
Thank you.
I know you have told us, but just tell us what you did.
Yeah, had a 8 surprise cake, Coca-Cola cake.
Was it
Infamous.
Coca-Cola
Yeah,
cake?
it's an infamous
Oh, you didn't
recipe.
tell me that.
Which is great. And then, yeah, went to see the 3-hour-long film that is Oppenheimer.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely worth it. Brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
And then went for a nice Japanese meal,
Very
which
nice
again
indeed.
was very tasty. So
Very nice
all in
indeed.
all, great weekend.
Happy days. Now, obviously, we're going to be talking everything 3 Peaks. But before we get into 3 Peaks, just a little bit of background on you two. So, Jax, will ask you first. Just give us a bit of a brief overview in your training history, kind of how long you've been a member at T2 Fit as well.
Okay. Well, several years ago, probably about 6 or 7 years ago, maybe even a bit more, I tore both my hamstrings at the same time.
Yep.
And I needed to find a personal trainer. So I was at Nuffield for my physio, and I met Cass there. And the physio told me the only thing I could do after her was get a personal trainer to get me back able to walk and run and do everything I used to be able to do. And that was how I met Cass.
Mm-hmm.
So then he continued to be my personal trainer once my legs were fixed. And then when he moved here, I moved here too.
How did you do both hamstrings?
I was doing an assault course, and I ran up
Ah.
a vertical ramp for the 4th time, and my right one popped, and my left one didn't have anything else to do but pop with it. And didn't actually have any idea what I'd done, but I knew it was really bad.
Yeah, I mean, that must have been...
It was
like, really
agony.
bad.
And I couldn't stand up, and it was hard.
And how long was
Really
that kind of
hard.
rehabilitation process back from that?
About 2 years.
About 2 years?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
2 years to run. I could walk, although my legs overextended a lot when I was walking.
Yeah.
But running, like I couldn't run across the road. I wouldn't have been able to take that risk
Wow.
in case I just fell over. So it was about 2 years.
Wow.
And then never really looked back after that. I was able to kind of return to normal. Yeah, and when Cass moved here, I thought, well, he's going there, I need to go there. So
He's done me well so far, so I'll follow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Amazing. Kelly?
Yeah, pre-T2 Fit, I actually, for a lot of my childhood, was more around like team sports and things. I was much more into that than into the gym. Played everything from netball to basketball, football, with the guys as well as the girls, getting stuck in. And then, yeah, all of that stopped after quite a few years. And I then also, broke my wrist playing touch rugby. Don't run on wet grass, moral of the story. And then, just before COVID hit, I also broke my ankle. But I'd already been kind of going to the gym and doing class sessions and stuff anyway, and still needed to find a way to do more of that at home during the pandemic. But I just wasn't doing much. So it was like half-heartedly doing all those online videos, thinking I was like really bossing it for, 20 minutes out of a full hour. And so I just needed somewhere to go, someone to kind of tell me what to do and make me do it properly for the full hour. So when I heard T2 Fit was opening here in Coulsdon, right around the corner from me, I was like, well, that's the time to go and join, because it was too far before I knew people that had already gone and said great things. So yeah, I've been here ever since it opened in this venue.
I must say that the ankle and the wrist thing doesn't surprise me, because I've seen you nearly fall over from a twig.
May have happened.
And I may even
not
say
have happened.
leaf, actually, to that point. I've never seen anyone just be so bothered by a leaf before in my life.
And that is how both of my injuries happened.
There you go.
There's nothing spectacular at all.
Love that. So have either of you done kind of any hiking or big challenges like Three Peaks before?
I did the Great Glen, which is up the west coast of Scotland from Fort William up from Glasgow, Bearsden and Glasgow, up to Fort William.
Nice.
That's the most.
How long is that?
hiking
How long did
I've
that take you, the Great Glen?
I can't remember exactly. I think it's about 7 to 8 miles, something like that.
Yeah.
And we did it in 5 days. My sister will correct me if she sees this. She'll tell me exactly what it was. But it was all well organised, like all our stuff was moved on, and we stayed in some really great bed and breakfast places that were amazing.
Yeah, I imagine.
But yeah, that's the most hiking.
How long ago was that? Was that pre-hamstring or post-hamstring?
It was pre-hamstring.
Pre-hamstring.
Yeah, it was good. But I was still working at the time. Yeah, so it's probably maybe, I was trying to think how long it is we've been back in this country. Maybe about 14 years ago.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. It's quite a while since you've done any kind of real hiking like that then.
Yeah.
And obviously with that, the hamstrings.
I didn't still have the boots. I couldn't find my boots for my little.
Yeah, no, because you had to get some new boots, right?
I did, I did have them. But my sister reminded me that the boots I had before were hurting me, so they wouldn't have been any good anyway.
Probably the best thing.
I probably threw them out.
And obviously you not that long ago done high rocks, which is something we did here as well, right?
Yeah.
And how was that?
Yeah, it was good. I hated every minute of it, but at the end I really loved it.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I didn't. It was a real challenge, and I enjoyed the challenge. The running part of it, you could stick that, but
Noted.
yeah. The rest of it I found fine. Somebody telling me that the running was your recovery.
Yeah.
I was like, get away. There's no way running around this 3 times is going to recover me from anything I've done. So, but no, it was great fun. I did really enjoy it.
Good.
Super impressive.
Very much so.
It just seems to be one of those years. I'm sure what I'm going to do next year.
We'll come on to that later. What about you, Kelly?
Yeah, I've done various challenges before, and a bit of hiking. So probably about 11 years ago, I think, me and my cousins decided that we'd set ourselves a really random challenge, which is a half combined challenge and half kind of individual. So we had 100 miles that we were doing over 12 hours from Purley to Brighton. It started off, I think it was 5 of us doing it. Started off on a static bike, alternating whilst watching the F1 to get our speed going. And then all did the 42 miles or whatever it is down to Brighton, up and down all those wonderful hills. So that was the first kind of major challenge that really pushed me out of my comfort zone. Cycling hills just doesn't happen. I can cycle for ages on flat ground. The minute I hit a hill, it stops. But we did it just in the 12 hours, complete with a puncture in a tyre as well, which is great. And then hiking, yeah, I've climbed Snowdon before, once or twice, and then also done Mount Kenya, which was a really great experience as well. That was over a couple of days to acclimatise, but again, a real big challenge. So yeah, I was quite excited to do 3 peaks.
And then challenge-wise, obviously with 3 peaks, you did this one for charity as well, right?
Yeah, decided, like, it'd been a while, so the last one that I did a big charity fundraising thing for was the crazy bike ride. So I thought, actually, why not try and raise some funds. I did it for cancer research and raised, I think it was over £1,100 pounds or something now. So it was amazing.
I head round it fast enough. I'd quite like to have done it as well for charity.
That's right. Next year, Jack, that's fine. Next year we'll get
I have done a
out.
moonwalk like 6 times for charity.
Yeah, I remember you saying actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember
so
you
that
saying.
was other walking that I did.
That was the pink tutu story, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I remember that now. Yeah. That makes sense. There's no context to that at all, but yeah,
No,
I know,
just leave it
I
at
know what
that.
you mean. Yeah, I know. So when you both saw Three Peaks was on the T2 Fit kind of events calendar, was it something that you knew straight away you wanted to do? Was it something that was a bit of a slow burner? How did it all kind of materialise for you both?
As soon as I saw it, I thought that I've always wanted to do it.
Nice.
And I didn't know how I was going to be able to do it because I didn't want to organise it myself. That's a lot of organising. So I thought, somebody else is taking charge here, I'll just rock up. Nah.
Sensible.
Yeah.
Sensible.
So, but I did and all for a while, and then I remember I was away because we'd gone away for a wedding anniversary, and I couldn't get in touch because my phone wasn't
right, I
working.
remember,
I was panicking, like I'm going to miss the deadline now. And, but yeah, no, I had just thought, no, I'm gonna go for it. So
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty
Glad we
immediate
did.
for me as well.
Yeah.
Actually, I was supposed to do it in 2020, and I was that mug that was
right.
trying to organise it for me and a couple of my colleagues at my old agency. And then I wasn't going to be able to do it anyway, and then the pandemic hit, so it kind of didn't happen. But yeah, so it was a no-brainer for me.
Yeah.
Anything crazy like that, I'm there.
Nice. So when you actually had it all confirmed, you were like, yeah, I'm definitely doing it, click the buttons, all that kind of stuff. What did anything change, I guess, training-wise, or what did change training-wise for you kind of in the lead up to it?
Not a lot.
A lot? Not a lot? No?
Well, I guess playing golf helps because I walk a lot. Playing
This is
golf.
what- we were saying this when we went in for that training walk,
Yeah.
Box Hill,
Yeah.
and you were just like whew, striding ahead. And I was
Yeah.
like, wow, okay, that's amazing. Considering, as you said, you hadn't really done any training for it.
Yeah.
Just the amount of steps that you must get through a decent amount of golf must be really.
I mean, our own course isn't particularly hilly course, but it's a long course.
Mhm.
And the way I hit a ball, it's twice as long. So, yeah, I can only assume because I was very apprehensive whether I was ready for it or not.
Okay.
But it was one of those things that I'll just have to deal with it when I'm there.
So there's a book it, and then I'll just deal with it later. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
did intend to do more, but other things came in the way. Got in the
Holidays,
way,
wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was that actually.
Yeah, I think you was away a little bit. Yeah.
I was away quite a lot. Yeah. But as soon as I heard that we were doing the Box Hill one, I thought, right, I've got to be there for that. That'll put me in my place. I mean, what did I have? 2 weeks or 3 weeks? Was it 3 weeks before?
Yeah.
Something.
That's
Like,
it.
yeah, 2-3
So
weeks,
it wasn't really very much I could do about it if I really felt bad. Anyway, I thought, oh, this is okay. I think if I can do this, and I'm feeling fine, I think I'll be fine. So I was fairly confident, but still nervous.
Because the Box Hill, I mean, it was actually a really tough route. I had never been to
Yeah.
Box
That
Hill
was tough.
myself,
Yeah.
and we did obviously the 2 loops. I think it was still a total of like 31 kilometres over
Yeah.
the,
Yeah.
however long we did it in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely, I think it was good training for it. I think it definitely separated some people in the group. It was like, I either finished that Box Hill and felt a bit more confident, or it was like a big gulp
Yeah.
moment. I maybe need to pull my finger out for the
Yeah.
next couple of weeks. But
Yeah.
what about you, Kelly? Because I know you did quite a lot of training, a lot of
Yeah.
walking in the lead up, right?
Because I've done a couple of these kind of hikes before, I know that it's not kind of your standard walk in the park sort of thing. So having to put a bit more into it, and as it is, I do less cardio these days anyway. So it was more, building my endurance for me is the big thing, which I think was probably noticeable. That's the bit that I struggled with most. But it's also the mental game, a lot of it, I think. So putting yourself through some kind of challenges like that, like Box Hill, or other ones where actually it's a hillier walk and you're doing it at a certain pace. If we were aiming for that kind of time challenge as well. So you really realise how quickly you're out of breath, or like how much you need to figure out the pace that you need to go at to achieve the time frame that you want to and stuff as well. So I think there's a few factors that go into it.
Yeah.
And do you feel that the program here, obviously with the small groups and stuff that you do and some of the large groups, do you feel like, although it wasn't directly catered towards your Three Peaks kind of training experience, do you feel like it gave you a decent kind of foundation for going and taking on a challenge like that?
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like, for me, especially all the strength stuff anyway, you know, I didn't change any of that, but I just made sure that it was like very consistent. I was trying to push myself a little bit more, especially on lower body days, leg days, because that is, you know, there's a lot of it is in your leg strengths, yeah, thighs and everywhere as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's the first time that I'd ever heard anyone ever remotely slightly thank me for all the sled work that we do.
I don't think I'll ever be thankful
I'm not
for
sure
that.
that you were in that category, but I remember a couple of people. No, there wasn't many, in fairness, but there were definitely a couple of people who was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm really kind of glad that we've done the sled now. I was like, yeah, I'm going to note that down. I'll write that down. Step ups, I think you might have said something about
step ups are good.
at some point.
Well, yeah, it was when we did the Box Hill hikes, those steps, like walls, climbing walls, one step for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you really need a lot of power.
I did a lot more cardio, but then I had upped the cardio for high rocks. So I guess high rocks was a part of my training for it as well.
Yeah,
really.
that makes sense.
And I was doing regularly at least 4 cardio sessions a week. And I think that did really help me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fast forward a little bit, training's kind of in the bag, or at least semi in the bag. Travel day.
Oh, travel day.
Travel day. So
Yeah.
I turn up early doors, completely on my Jack Jones for a long time. Sitting around waiting for everyone.
Well, we
had
were
breakfast.
here getting a farewell from everybody.
I know.
Yeah.
Actually, you get a little
It's quite
farewell
nice, a little
from
send-off.
members here at the
Yeah.
gym before their session, right?
Yeah.
Which was very nice. Couple of delays, obviously, which kind of prolonged that journey, should we say, a little bit more than we would hope.
Yeah.
And we got to know
Definitely.
Glasgow Airport extremely well.
Which
Completed
doesn't
it, I
take
believe,
long.
was the phrase that we used.
Completed
We completed
it, yeah.
Glasgow Airport.
If there was ever a Guinness World Record for the length of stay in an airport arrivals hall, we definitely smashed
Yeah,
it.
I
I
think we
think
were
so.
definitely up there, at least
By
top
quite a
3.
few
I'm
hours,
sure people
I
were
think.
really curious while we were all sitting there for such a long
I don't
time.
think anyone was. I think
The
people seemed to
approaches
think
of
it was quite normal.
vagrants.
No one better than I did.
No.
I was like, is this normally a thing that people doing 3 Peaks hang out in Glasgow Airport? I've got no idea.
Well, I was even amazed that they didn't come and clear the table the whole time we were sitting.
This is also true. This is also true.
Yeah.
But plenty of food.
Yeah.
Actually, a couple of beverages actually
Yeah.
came out
Oh,
in
yeah.
the
Yeah.
end, and I was determined that I wasn't going to do that. But 5 hours at Glasgow Airport,
Seemed
Breaks
to do
you.
much
one pint
harm.
of Guinness, I think was okay.
Yeah.
Some very aggressive hockey.
Yeah. Won't name any names,
Yeah.
but don't play air hockey with a certain someone. Julian.
I nearly lost an eye during air hockey, which I never thought was going to be a possibility.
I thought some other passengers in the airport were going to lose limbs as well.
Yeah. I think at that point they wanted us out of that airport.
Yeah.
It was the noisiest air hockey I've ever heard in my
That
entire
was.
life. But anyway, eventually we were joined by the other 2 after obviously their delays as well, heading up to Fort William. And I'd never been up to that part of Scotland before, and it was stunning.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
beautiful
absolutely.
views from the windows.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And obviously the hotel we were staying in wasn't actually that much on the outside, but again, just right on the water.
Yeah.
I thought it was a lovely little spot.
uh-huh.
Yeah, I was looking forward to having my full cooked breakfast with views looking over the lock. But
I mean, is that not what you got?
it was close second.
Well, you made mine. So mine
A
was
free
cooked for
from
me.
porridge pot.
You poured
and
the water
luckily-
into mine, so I felt that somebody had made mine for me.
And she got 5-star service in our room.
So, I mean, did you add anything to your porridge first thing in the morning to make it a bit more luxurious?
Well, luckily I had a banana that we'd bought
Of course.
among the many snacks from the day before.
Yeah.
Because that was definitely needed to help. But
I forgot where I'd got that banana from.
One of the many WH Smith stops that we had along the route at some point.
yeah.
How did you feel in the morning, waking up? Obviously, lovely scenery around there, but was it nervousness? Was
Yeah.
it excitement going up into kind of Ben
No, I would
Nevis?
say.
Were you?
Yeah, I would say I would put nervous. I was quite nervous. How is this going to go?
Yeah.
Because it's quite a lot to take on, and you know you're not really sure if you've done enough training. What am I training for here? You know. So yeah, I was apprehensive.
Yeah.
A certain amount of apprehension about it. And what if I'm the one that's holding everybody up?
Yeah,
or
no, that makes
whatever,
sense.
you
Yeah,
know. So
For you?
just that.
I think I was quite excited by that point. Like, actually, weirdly felt rested-ish, considering we didn't actually have like a full night's sleep.
Yeah,
It did
no.
feel quite rested,
Yeah.
and I was just more.
The
It was the
porridge.
porridge, yeah,
Just fired you
the
up.
really plain
Yeah.
porridge, yeah.
And we had got ourselves all organised the night before, being us. We had emptied all our bags out and repacked them.
And of course, because you roomed together, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
roomies.
There
Yeah.
you go.
And we knew that we wouldn't have any space to repack at any point on the journey. So, yeah.
Well
Yeah,
planned,
getting ahead
I
of the
think.
packing was
Yeah,
probably a good idea. I mean, I think
Yeah.
we'll come on to the bus and the storage.
Yeah, no, I think I was just excited to get going. Like, it felt like quite
yeah,
a
and
long
I
lead
had
up
that
now.
too. And it was such a lovely morning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it was really,
It's probably the best
if it
weather we
been-
had
if
the
it had
entire
been chucking
time.
it down, it would have been a totally different feeling. But it
Yeah.
was just
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, it really was.
In that way. So
I think I was in two minds about it because I'd been told by so many people that it was the hardest. So I was expecting
Yeah.
it to be difficult. But then I'd also remember you telling me about your daughter doing it in like flip-flops or something.
flip flops and a summer dress.
Yeah,
with
so
her-
I couldn't
her-
quite figure out how to pitch it in my mind.
the
whether it
long
was gonna
john bag
be-
over her shoulder.
Yeah, and I saw, well, obviously, on the way up and down, we saw people in very kind of similar outfits doing the same. And I was
Yeah.
like, I really wouldn't fancy doing that at all. I mean, for a number of
Well, not
reasons,
in
I
the
wouldn't be in the dress, but the terrain actually was, it sounds really silly to say, but it was really tough. I found it tough.
Oh, it was, yeah. I think I described it at one point as someone went, oh, this isn't hard enough on Ben Nevis, we'll just chuck a whole load more rubble on it.
Yeah.
And it was basically that, a whole load of loose rocks and
Yeah.
giant pebbles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once we got up to the zigzags, it was really tough underfoot.
So the
I would-
zigzags must have been a couple of hours in, maybe? Hour and a half,
Yes,
all a bit of a
something like
blur,
that,
isn't
I
it?
would
the
say,
zigzags.
yeah, because after the zigzags we didn't
Oh,
have
yeah.
much to the summit. It wasn't
True.
much further to the summit.
Yeah.
So yeah, we must have been a good way up by then. So, but I did find the loose stones much more difficult to walk on at that point.
Yeah, when we got up to the zigzags, it became, like I say, very rubbly up down there. There was one bit in particular, actually, I remember it being quite just a longer, steep bit, maybe actually before we hit the zigzags. And I was like, I'm really hoping there's not much more of this because that would be horrendous.
And when we stopped at the first one, and he said, was it 8 or 9?
I think 8.
Was it 8?
I think it was 8,
I
maybe.
said there's
8,
8
yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
But we'll do them 3 at a time, and then the last 2. I was like thinking, okay, that's fair enough. 3. Then thinking, oh, when is the third one coming? But I had to keep up with him because I knew if I was at the back, I wouldn't get any rest
Yeah.
whatsoever. As soon as that last person came, we were off again, and
Yeah.
they didn't get any rest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
So-
incentive to go a little bit faster,
Yeah.
wasn't it? And just keep going as
Yeah.
to make sure that you had a bit of a break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were very lucky, as you said, with the weather, like pretty much the whole way up.
Yeah.
However, obviously, there was a point, even actually at the start, one of our
You did
guides,
see it
Miha-
very early.
Miha,
on. Yeah.
I think it was,
Yeah.
at the start, he was actually saying that we were forecast 65 mile an hour winds
It was windy up there.
at the summit, which obviously, I think, was he saying 60 was his normal cut-off?
Yeah.
So even before we'd started, we were like, we may not even summit the first one. It's a great
Yeah.
start.
Yeah.
Just go home.
I know, to see how we go. But luckily, is it 35, I think? He said. By the time we got
Yeah.
up there, it was actually pretty windy though. But it was definitely manageable. It was okay.
It definitely
Yeah.
felt like 65, was it not?
No.
I had to
no,
hold
no, it
on to the
wasn't.
mountain at points.
Yeah, but you're little.
Lower centre of gravity, it'd be easier.
You'd think so, but no.
But we got a bit of a view at the top.
Yeah, we did.
It wasn't too misty or anything like that.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you got to the top? Peak 1 done. How was it?
Incredible.
Yeah, elated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that already felt like such a big achievement,
Yeah.
especially after like
And
the
I thought,
slog
this
up.
is the highest one, at least that's out
Yeah.
of the way.
True.
Yeah.
And it was stunning walking up it. It was such a clear day. And it was quite exciting that it was that windy. You know, that we were all getting blown about.
Yeah.
You love Scarfell. But yeah, I think it adds to it though, having that little bit of kind of the elements into it.
And it's all trying to get up on the summit, you know, walk round the
Even that I
monument
had
at the
to
top.
crawl up because it was so windy.
Yeah.
In fairness, I had to
Yeah.
shuffle on my backside for that. I was not
Yeah.
getting pushed off the top there by the wind.
Well,
way.
no, exactly. Once you reach that point,
Yeah, yeah, that's a long way down.
I want to get down quickly. All right, quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very true. It's very, very true. So It was interesting because when I got to the top, I was the same as you. I was like buzzing about it, but then looking around at people's faces at the time, less buzzing. I think it was just the idea that we just climbed for 2.5 hours. We had this kind of big climb back down. How did you find it going down? Because I'd always been told that the up was going to be easier than the going down the mountain, which I was like, nah. I mean, I've done a bit of downhill stuff before, but I was like, nah, it can't be. It killed my legs.
It is. Yeah.
How did you find it going down the mountain?
I didn't find it too. Strangely enough, at the top when it was the loose pebbles, I didn't find that as bad. Although they were more slippery underfoot, it wasn't as steep as coming down the bottom half, where you were really coming down great big steps. I found that much more challenging on my knees.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't mind coming down. I'm definitely much quicker coming down. And I know that, like, for a lot of people, that's a harder one because it puts a lot more pressure through your legs, your knees especially, even your hips. Like, God, my hips have never hurt so much in my life than doing those mountains. But, I definitely find the uphill a lot worse. Yeah. I think coming down Ben Nevis, actually I was following the guide at one point, and I think I found the quicker that I went and almost kind of started to leap down them was slightly easier because you're lighter on your knees and legs.
I agree with that.
And there was no leaves around, so you're fine.
Yeah, there's no leaves, just rocks.
No twigs to fall.
No twigs. No twigs, we're okay, we're safe. Just big boulders, but apart from that, we're fine. So I think it's 5 hours 45
right.
Yeah.
by the time we got to the bottom. So actually, at this point, we were still kind of...
We were on track.
On track.
We were
Yeah.
So we were doing well.
Yeah.
A very brief turnaround at the bottom. And then we started our first long stint on the bus.
The bus.
The bus, I'm sure, brings back a number of memories. I think we were 7 hours on that bus. We did have a bit of a break on there, of course, but 7 hours, some diversions. It's meant to be like 5.5 hours, I think, to Scarfell. So a little bit longer than planned. Just explain the bus for me. Explain the bus journey. How do we find that?
I don't know if there's one word to describe it other than...
disappointing.
It's imagine a school like sports team bus that's about to just go and play a match down the road at another school. It's that kind of bus, you know.
At the end of that term, they're definitely getting
not
rid
one
of
for
that
like
bus.
a 7-hour journey. Yeah.
Because it's considered unsafe.
Well, yeah. I mean, the door didn't close fully, did it? As we got in, that was the first sign of we might die in this bus.
Yeah, I mean, it was unexpected aircon, for sure.
I thought that was the bus taking us to the bus. I thought there's no way we're going to Fort William in this. I hope.
So just to Fort William, not even the whole thing.
I thought we're meeting somebody in Glasgow or something that's going to have the real bus that we're getting on. So yeah, that was a bit of a shocker.
Yeah, and that bus never
It
came,
was,
right?
No, it never came. Yeah.
I think we did get the door shut at one point, though.
Well, until it flew open again, and then he had to stop it to be able to shut it.
Yeah, there was that.
I was just glad I wasn't sat next to it, to be honest.
Yeah, that was Julian's job, yeah.
Yeah,
He was
I think
well
we
done.
quite lucked out.
I
Having
don't
our own
think
seats.
Julian and Clive would have flown out that door too fast.
No, I think we were pretty safe. I think we were pretty safe on that one.
They needed that space in front. In fact,
We had enough
I felt quite sorry for
bags
you.
to
You
protect
didn't have much
everyone,
to-
didn't we?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
It was crowded,
Yes.
and not just from people.
Yeah, there wasn't.
From,
There was no space for our bags, so we were having to put bags on seats and under seats, and any leg room that we had our bags
Had
around
bags.
our feet. So
Yeah.
there wasn't a lot of room for movement to kind of change your position of sitting there.
I think kind of looking back on it now, there's an element of it just being funny. But at the time, the serious side to it is that you kind of touched on it earlier, that you do need to, I know it's still funny now, hopefully. You do need to have space and time to sort your bags out, and actually just space to recover a little bit. Let the legs kind of have some room, hopefully. Sleep, which we'll come on to in a little bit as well. But yeah, I actually found it quite tough to manage the space.
Yeah.
Door aside, it wasn't a space that I felt particularly that I could recover and rest in, shall we say.
No.
But I think it definitely added to the my Three Peaks experience in some way, shape or form.
Definitely.
That was its own challenge, I think,
Yeah.
alongside the Three Peaks.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is true.
Figuring out how you sit, move, sleep.
I wanted to know how we were all going to get in our sleeping bags that we were suggesting to take.
Did anyone actually take a sleeping bag?
Someone had it in their bag. So I remember someone saying they had
Somebody
one.
did say they had brought a sleeping bag and we all went, what?
I would have actually just liked that for the picture of 12 of us just in the sleeping bag though. That would have been
It might have
amazing.
helped keep everyone confined a little bit more, I don't know.
This is true.
Goodness.
This is true.
But I can confirm travel pillows did not help on that bus.
Yeah, no, I
No
did
point.
see quite a few of those pillows being discarded.
Yeah, the pillow headrest.
And it
Sit
added to the stuff that was in the way in the end.
To make
Yeah.
the seat more comfortable.
Yeah, the headrest were the least of the issues for sure.
Yeah.
But so on that wonderful 7-hour journey, we got word from the guide at Scarfell. It basically just kind of put the whole of Scarfell Mountain number 2 in jeopardy straight away,
Yeah.
which was that we were heading into a thunderstorm and a lightning storm, and we really might not even get an opportunity to go up. And we had to make a bit of a call at that point, whether we were actually going to just skip it entirely and head
Yeah,
straight
I
down
remember
towards
that. I
Snowdon.
thought,
I remember when you asked that, and I think the immediate reaction from everyone on the bus was, "No, we're going there. We're going to see. We want to try it because how gutted will we be?"
yeah.
Which I'm really glad about, actually.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
glad everyone was on board with that. Because I think missing it, I just would have been gutting.
Yeah.
Would have been gutting. But we did. We went. We arrived. Luckily, we got another message from the leader, like literally 15 minutes after we said that. And he was like, fingers crossed it might be clearing. So we got there about, I think it was 8 p.m. We
8
maybe
o'clock.
started kind
Yeah.
of climbing or something like that. But expectations were kind of laid out pretty early doors that the idea of summiting Scarfell was unlikely. What did that do to you at the time? Is it something that you still were like positive about, or did it knock your positivity a little bit knowing that you might not summit it? Did you attack that mountain in a different way? How did that kind of go through your mind?
I don't think it changed how we kind of went about doing that mountain. But I
We
do
were
remember
told how to
thinking
do
that
that
I was a bit like, is there a point in doing this if we can't get to the top? But like, no, a little
Yeah.
bit part of me was, especially because at the time I think we were kind of thinking, you know, we might only get about 20 minutes up and have to turn back, which, you know, wouldn't get us anywhere. But I think there was still kind of, well, we're here, let's do it and keep going. And I think having that mindset along with the weather kind of being on our side up to a point, you know, actually we got a lot further than I expected us to.
Yeah, I was quite disappointed when we were the 2/3 up and we were all sat deciding whether we're going to do this, and then crack of thunder. Well, actually, no. Well, so I thought that I was disappointed at that point. I knew we couldn't go any further, but I thought we might just get this done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
think I was in a weird place with it because I was gutted that we couldn't actually summit Scarfell, being like you say 2/3 that close as well.
Yeah.
Seeing it, you know,
Yeah.
it's
I know,
just there.
like, you know it's there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably a full summit. It's probably behind that, but you knew it wasn't far away.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was just really pleased that we managed to do the 2/3 as well.
Yeah.
Like the idea of skipping it and going straight down to Snowdon, like that wouldn't have sat very well with me. And it actually, in a weird way, kind of brought around one of the highlights of that entire trip for me, which was 2/3 up Scarfell Pike, mountain leader ex-military, went full military mode, clap of thunder, and he's like, right, as we said, we're going to call it, we're going to start to head back down. Describe the moment that he then went, again, like I said, full military, and went through the protocol, should we say, if we start getting the lightning a bit too close to us. Because I've got it very clear in my mind because I remember it like it was yesterday, but I'd just love to hear it from you two.
There was one clear instruction: drop face down, lay there, and don't move.
Put your phones off now.
Yeah, we had to turn our phones off and everything.
If I shout, was it down? Was it above?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think he was asking nicely.
Yeah.
It was very much a down.
Yeah, it was
and
very much an order. When I shout down, you hit the floor on your stomachs. Don't move. Throw your poles away.
And we had to
and
create a
wait
mountain
for more
of poles, didn't we?
instruction.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah. It was the point where he said, if the lightning gets any closer, and at that point we were just watching these lightning bolts pretty close. I was like, how close do they need to get before we are in actual danger?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah.
added to it. Like for me, Scaffold was probably the most fun mountain to do of the three.
Well, it was the most exciting. Yeah.
It was because I'd also been told that although it was the shortest, and not just going to be the 2/3, but it's the steepest and one
I
of the
had also
trickiest
heard that.
to
Yeah.
climb. But I think because I had that in my head, and when we started moving, it really wasn't that way at all.
No.
I found it like a really okay kind of climb to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was glad that the excitement, if you can call it that, of the lightning and stuff kind of replaced the not summiting.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very much like a get down your front, hit the deck, don't move. Number one. If that's not enough and it gets a bit closer, I think it was throw your bags into the centre, walking poles will go up to a conduction point. No one move, get away from it. That was like that one.
Yeah.
Phones off, watches off. Didn't even realise my watch could go off. It couldn't, so I was then panicking.
I remember Julian also.
Gonna lose an arm.
I know.
Julian spending time arguing with the guy, the lead, to be like,
Yeah.
does my watch count? Does it not count? I was like, Julian, just turn it off. We are going to die.
Get it off, mate. Get it off. And then obviously, what was it? You got metal.
Oh yeah, so I've got metal for where I've got my wrist and ankle injuries, and because he'd said, we make a pile of the poles and bags in one area and we all go somewhere else. I was like, but I've got metal in my body, and he just kind of looked at me and went, eh. I was like, all right, okay.
We'll send Kelly that way.
I'll just-
get her away from
You
us.
stay away from us. Yeah. You sit with the bags.
Yeah.
I thought I was
Mind
going
those
to have
bags,
to.
And then obviously head torches were on at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So darkness started to obviously come in, and then as we turned around, I'm pretty sure the heavens just opened.
Oh yeah, so much rain.
And it was so slippery underfoot as well.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
That was the one time actually I was really pleased to have those brand spanking new boots. Because my feet were hurting, but I was like, yeah, grip wise on these boots actually it was pretty handy.
Yeah.
But I don't remember being in rain like that, not for a very long time.
No. And for that amount of time as well, because it was still like a couple of hours to get down, wasn't it? So, being absolutely drenched.
And it was
Yeah.
relentless. Relentless.
Usually, it was just constant
I
dripping.
do seem to remember thinking, please don't make us stop again. Please
No.
don't make us stop right again.
Yeah, there was definitely some of that. Yeah, like, let's just get moving. Please just get
Yeah.
If we
moving.
could all just stop. No, oh my God.
And then obviously we got to the bottom eventually, greeted by some hot chocolate. Was it hot chocolate or Ovaltine? I'm not quite sure
It
what it was.
was tepid.
Tepid.
Tepid, I don't know
Not sure what it was,
either.
but it was tepid. Which
Brown
actually,
liquid.
apparently, when asked at the end on the way down Snowdon, was Sean's highlight.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
There was the hot chocolate,
Yeah.
apparently. So yeah, Sean, if you're listening to
Yeah.
this, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently that was his highlight. Then we had to get dry, which was an interesting experience in itself. A number of people trying to get, very, very dry in a very small space in some toilets like midnight.
Well, the ladies' toilets were really quite big, so we did have quite a lot of space, but when we went in there was already a busload of
Yeah.
women in there.
I say, yeah,
So it was carnage.
we were struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I came out and had a small meltdown.
Oh,
Because
I'm sorry, you missed that.
Yeah.
no, but-
How do we not know about this?
It was because at that point I was so sure that I saw the bus drive off.
Yeah, because we came out. I was with Joanna. Was I with Joanne? I was with one of the girls, and we came out, and it was pitch black.
Yeah.
And you said the van has just gone left. And we
I
were
had
like,
no head torch
"What?"
on at this point because I'd packed it away. I couldn't see anything. I was adamant this van had driven off. I was standing there with Julia. I was like, hey, he'll turn around in a minute. He's repositioning himself so he hasn't got to walk too far in the rain. Just drove out of Scarfell. And I was fuming.
To be fair, I wouldn't have put it
Absolutely
past our driver. At some point,
No.
I thought he would
Well,
have done that anyway.
That's it. When you said that, I was like, why am I not
Surely
surprised?
someone knows we're missing. Surely.
At that point, I don't think we would have. The bus, like, once we'd all taken off all our wet stuff as well,
Yeah.
there was literally already no room on the bus. And then we
Yeah.
had to display all this wet stuff to try and get it dry before the next mountain.
Yeah, this is true. And this is where I think Hugh lucked out again. His little spot in the
Oh,
back of the
yeah.
bus there.
Yeah.
He had his wet kit
Yeah.
over the back there. He was
Yeah.
sorted. So I'm
Yeah,
taking-
he'd planned that because
taking
he
a
was on the
leaf out
bus
of Hugh's
before
book.
us
Yeah,
all.
he had got it all sussed out. He was
Yeah.
ahead of the game.
I know. Yeah, I'm taking notes for next time.
I had lots
Yeah.
of newspaper for everybody's boots.
I think Clive was hanging up newspaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very helpful
Yeah.
actually. It was very, very helpful. So we then, obviously, at midnight, somewhat dry, one lukewarm hot chocolate down. We're on a 5-hour-ish journey overnight through towards Snowdon. Did you get any sleep?
No.
On and off.
Enough?
I really don't think I got any sleep whatsoever.
No?
No.
I got bits.
Yeah.
But my
But then I got woken up every time my neck was hurting or, like, you know, would hit a little thing in the road or something.
I just don't, there was not any point where I was comfortable enough to be able to sleep. And I don't mean internally comfortable. I mean comfortable.
you need that sleeping bag. Is what
Yeah.
it was. You need that sleeping bag.
I needed a bed.
I actually-
Sleeping bag.
I initially, I think, drifted pretty much straight away, which was amazing. I didn't think I would. But then about, I think 2:45, I think it was. Because I remember it being quite an event. And I looked at my phone at it. About 2:45 in the morning, we turned up at this service station, which was clearly pretty much abandoned.
It was just a petrol station, wasn't it?
No, we hit the service station first, because I remember it was my 17th
Oh, yeah.
trip into a WH Smith
Oh,
at
yeah.
that point.
Yeah.
And sat there, I was like, oh, okay, this must be our structured rest stop. I'm sure we'll start moving in a minute. Van went off, driver just put his head back, started sleeping. I was like, I'm pretty sure this was
This is when we had the smell on the bus.
No, yes, it was, yeah, but it was just before that all ensued. And then I remember this awkward time where I just kind of sat here like, okay, well, the driver's gone to sleep. Do I start to move?
I remember that thinking, he's actually going to take a nap.
Yeah. I mean, I kind
I'm
of
still
felt
asleep in the fan. I'll drive.
pair of socks. I felt for him actually at the time because he must have been shattered. He must have been shattered. But I was like, I don't understand what's going on here. And then I think I looked around because I heard Julian like wake up at this point, and he was like, so are we moving? Or, like, what are we doing? Anyway, we eventually got out, like I say, 17th trip into a WH Smith's for a few more snacks. And then when we eventually got back on the bus and we drove away, I think it's when we went to get the fuel.
No,
Which
I
I mentioned this when I spoke to Eamon, the podcast last. What was that smell?
Oh, God knows.
Because
It was
I gave my
pungent, or-
description of not what I thought it was, but what it smelled like. And I would love if you can remember it because it's etched in my brain.
Yeah.
What would you actually say that smell was like / what it was?
It had a chemical smell to it for me.
That's what people said at the beginning, but it was quite eggy. It smelled very eggy to begin with.
Yeah.
And then when we stopped at the petrol station, it just all of a sudden got stronger and everybody smelt it. And then I was like, well, now it's just petrol. And then it went back to being a bit eggy oniony, and I was like,
Obviously, you got egg and onion. See, I had petrol
Yeah.
and fish. But I have
whatever
no
it was
idea what
rancid.
it was. But
What
it
we
wasn't
had-
us.
No.
No.
Because as soon as that thing started
Nobody
moving
put their
again, we
hands
were
up
fine. No,
anyway. I said, sorry, that was me.
I know. Too many sweets. I knew it was bad, but I knew it was really bad when I think Clive started retching. I was like, we need to move the bus like ASAP to get this thing moving. We haven't got enough newspaper to deal with that. Like, we need to get
Yeah,
moving.
no.
12 hikers going missing.
I was glad it had gone after about 10 minutes after we drove off, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That was...
it was at that point though where I really struggled to get back to sleep because I was like, well,
Yeah.
I felt sorry for the driver. I was like, is he going to fall asleep again? So I was just like staring, like wide open, just hoping that he would be able to continue
Yeah.
driving this van.
Yeah.
But it got to a point clearly where I was okay with it because I fell asleep, and pretty much woke up in
And snow.
Snowdon, which was actually a very nice morning again, about 6 a.m. something
Yeah,
like that. I think we
something
got there.
We picked up the other guy.
Yes. Yeah, I think that. So
our new guide.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
when
our
he
new
just jumped
guide,
on.
I think his first words were good morning, you lot smell.
Something like that, yeah.
I think it was something like that. I was like, nice to meet you
Great,
too.
yeah. This is going to go well for the next
I know,
few
yeah,
hours,
clearly.
isn't it?
These guys definitely had a coffee. And it was a very quick kind of sort bags out, obviously, once again, and then start walking. How did you feel when you first started the trek up Snowdon? After that kind of a night, obviously, having done
Quite glad to be in fresh air
Yeah.
outside of that bus, knowing that we
Yeah.
didn't have to get back on it.
I would say that as
Fair.
well, that I was quite happy to be getting out of that situation. And I was thinking to myself, this is supposed to be the easiest. So
Yeah.
this should be okay, this should be fine.
Yeah.
I thought it was hard.
Yeah, it was
Oh, it was
actually quite challenging.
See, I thought that, because again, same as you, I'd been
Yeah.
told by a
Just to
number of
breathe.
people that, it'd be okay. And I was like, this is not okay.
No.
It's obviously different tracks, right? We took
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
big track
because it
on the
wasn't
way
one
out.
that I'd done before, and I was like, the one I've done before has definitely been a lot easier and like gentler.
Yeah.
But I have to say, the scenery and the views from
it was
Snowdon were
stunning.
amazing.
Yeah.
I think we had such good weather to admire like the views there and the lake and stuff. It was really good.
Yeah.
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 And actually quite fun going up in a way. It's like it was tough.
Yeah.
Tougher than I was expecting, but
I
there
think
was
we
a lot
were all
more
in a bit
scaling
of a
the
high
rocks.
though.
Yeah.
Going up Snowdon, everybody was very upbeat. We weren't like kind
See,
of
either that or
dragging our
or
knuckles
fumes and
along
that
the
smell,
ground.
one or the other. I'm not quite sure
Not
what it was.
doing
That and the million sweets we'd had along the way,
Yeah.
I think. There was
Yeah,
a lot
maybe a
of
bit of a sugar high.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of sweets.
Yeah.
So, standing on top of Snowdon, 2 2/3 peaks kind of completed.
Yeah.
We had obviously the towel / flag.
Yeah.
How do you feel at that moment?
I thought it was a great moment. Yeah.
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 Absolutely elated, like knowing
Yeah.
that we've just almost summited 3 peaks. I count it as
Yeah.
summited to the point where we could have done Scarfell anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we would have all made it quite easily, I think.
Yeah.
But it's just a shame that it didn't work out weather-wise. But no, I thought it was great. And I think everybody was on a high.
Yeah.
We've done it.
Yeah.
Now could somebody carry me back down?
Yeah, knowing that we still had to come back down.
Back down
afterwards.
was horrific.
I'm glad you said
Oh,
this.
it was. It like
I'm
that
glad
was
you said
so
it,
hard.
because again, the mountain leader was like, "Yeah, okay, it's a nice, easy, straight path back down." But he forgot to say that it would take like 2 days.
Pretty much.
Like,
Like,
it
it just
was-
kept going and
It
going.
did.
Yeah. So it was
Yeah.
is it Clanderis Path, I think it was. We came
Yeah.
back down.
Yeah.
But I couldn't believe how it just never ended.
No.
Yeah.
And I was looking at people walking up it thinking, you must be mad.
Yeah.
Well, I think what made it worse was the fact that there was the ultra marathon and half marathon
Yeah.
and stuff going on at the
So
same
dodging
time.
runners was a bit...
And you're just thinking, how are people doing this as an ultra and like literally sprinting
Yeah.
down, and I'm struggling to walk down.
Yeah.
They were moving at a serious pace.
Yeah.
So I think there was a marathon, an ultra marathon.
And there was the 24-hour challenge
And
that
this
had
one.
happened just before.
It's
Again,
the 24-hour
madness.
one that gets me. Up and down Snowdon as many times in 24 hours as possible.
I don't know
Yeah.
how that's appealing to anyone,
No, I couldn't figure it out at the time.
let alone feasible, but appealing. I don't know.
So on the way down, kind of reflecting a little bit, or even now reflecting on it, what would be your... I asked you this actually, I think on the train, probably at some point on the way back. At that point, though, if you can, what would you have kind of summed up your three peaks experience in 3 words? Like, how would you have summed it up? Because again, I asked Sean this, and he went really sore knees.
Oh, yeah.
So I was expecting a bit more from people. But at that point, on the way down, apart from it was a very long hill on the way down, like what were you thinking at that point if you had to sum it up in 3 words?
I think my first one would be challenging. Mindful. And stunning.
Nice.
I can't even remember what I said originally, but pretty damn tough comes to mind. No, I think there was definitely adventure, like the challenge of the hiking itself, the weather, the bus challenge and adventure as part of it, everything, like actually an adventure for a couple of days. There was a lot of camaraderie, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's what helped carry us through those couple of days.
Yeah, totally
whether it was
agree with
waiting
that.
around in the
Yeah.
airport or the bus or the mountain, I think just having everyone's kind of team support was
We all
really
seem
nice
to
of
have
him.
a similar sense of humour as well.
Which was good, because I think we needed
It's
it.
needed.
I think we needed
We
it.
needed.
totally needed it, 100%.
If
But
you'd
it-
have asked the guy on the shop on the train back, I don't think he agreed. But
No.
we
Definitely
definitely did.
But it's a good point though, because in those situations there were times there where if we weren't all good together, you know, it
Oh, could have
potentially
kicked off.
could have been
Yeah.
less
Yeah.
than ideal.
Yeah.
But actually, I think I think we did luck out with a fantastic group, which was great.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I would say that was one of our biggest strengths
Mhm.
as a group, was we were really cohesive, and
Yeah.
we found the funny side to most situations.
If not then, definitely now anyway. Definitely now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, as you were saying, we kind of thought about it very much the 24-hour challenge, but obviously then we had
Yeah.
the journey on the way back. 2 trade journeys, one of which was less eventful.
Mm-hmm.
Second one, we all got, well, not all of us, but those of us that were travelling back together, just so happened that a few of us got stuck at the bar on the train on the way back, which was
A wise choice, I think.
terrible. It's terrible. But actually, we actually spoke about doing a podcast on the train.
Yeah.
'Cause we did like a little impromptu podcast at the time on
Yeah.
the train, which was good. Which I think my main takeaway from your bit on the podcast there was that we spent far too much time with people.
Yeah, well, I mean, it goes back to that point. I think in my head all the way up to it, I was like, oh, it's the 24 hours we're going to spend together. I hadn't really
Yeah.
fully registered that actually there'll be all that time
It'll be
before
like 48
and
hours.
afterwards.
Yeah.
Probably more than that, I think, by
Probably.
the time we'd done the
Yeah.
3
That was
days.
just Glasgow Airport.
Yeah. But I think, yeah, no, I mean, we had a good group, so I didn't mind it so much,
It was.
I think.
I think actually in a weird way it was like us getting caught on the train there was like the perfect ending to it for me. Like just having a few drinks but just kind of going back through it, it was in a
Because we
weird
wouldn't
way
have
perfect.
been, as you said, we wouldn't have been together if we'd all got seats, because we'd been
Yeah.
separate all over the place. So it would have been really a dull train journey back.
Definitely
whereas
could have
it
been.
definitely wasn't dull.
Yeah, it definitely could have been. So
and then,
I've
and
got
then
some.
the sprint to Euston that we all did.
Did we sprint?
Yeah, pretty
Oh, I
much.
just
don't
walked.
remember.
Did you sprint?
No, we walked. We ran because there was a train.
Everyone was desperate to get
trying to
home at
get-
that point.
Maybe I drank more than I thought because I don't remember that bit.
Did you?
No.
Oh, yeah.
No, you went on your own. You went a different way. That was the point where you were like, I've had enough of these lot.
Yeah. No, I was going back different
Yeah,
way.
you went different
like I
way.
said. Yeah, there was no running.
All right.
I
No,
was
we
not-
had
I
to
was not
run to
running at that
Euston
point.
to get the
I
train
wasn't
to...
either. I don't know where Jacqui was going.
You're not on the same train.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought you were sitting
Maybe you
across
felt
from-
like you were running.
Yeah.
So I've got some questions for you. Hannah didn't kill me last time for bringing my laptop in, so I'm going to bring the laptop in again. I'm going to ask you some questions, all right? Some quick fire-ish questions. First things that come to mind, all right? So first things first, nice easy one. Did you enjoy it?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. That was quick fire as well. I like it. Was it what you imagined it would be? And when you take everything into account, what you thought it was versus actually what it was, did it tick boxes enough for you?
Yeah. It was more or less what I expected. The only well, the bus obviously wasn't what I expected, but the everything else was what I expected it to be. So yeah, no, I think it was very nice.
Nice.
Apart from the
It
climbing,
ticks
I thought it'd be
boxes.
worse.
Yeah, it ticked boxes from expectations that way, but I don't know if I knew what to expect fully.
Mm-hmm.
So in that way, actually, it's probably a good thing just to kind of go with it.
Yeah, it's true actually. I think if I was to do it again, as we were saying beforehand, it's an interesting one now, knowing versus not
Yeah.
knowing before. I'm not sure which one I prefer yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't quite put my finger on it. I'm not quite sure. Did you get out of it what you wanted to get out of it? Like, did you go into it with like you wanted to get something from it in particular, like a personal challenge? Like, did you get that from it?
Yes.
I did from the point of doing those 3 and doing it in a pretty short space of time. I think I would
And
have
that
loved to have
we were all capable of
Yeah.
completing it within
Yeah.
24 hours. It was only nature
Yeah, we had it.
Yeah.
that didn't allow us to do it.
Yeah.
So was it a combination of the physical side that you were happy with, or did you find there was any kind of psychological, mental challenges as you went through that?
As I said, I did find it mindful. It did give you a lot of time to think, not just about how sore your legs were, but you know, that why am I doing this? You know, and am I enjoying it? And yeah, I was enjoying it, and I was doing it because it was a challenge that I've never done before. So, and it is a huge challenge.
Yeah.
I'm quite proud of all of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Kelly?
Forgotten the question now.
It was,
It's
did
such
you
a good
get out of
answer.
it what you wanted to?
Oh yeah. Yes and no. I think I would have loved to have been able to say we did it in 24 hours, but you know, nature was not in our favour at all. Or the bus driver.
Are you still displaying the medal though?
Oh yeah, I'm trying to show it in the background on all my Zoom calls for work, but I don't think anyone ever notices. No one's asked me about it yet, so I might have to wear it.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
I've not actually put mine out because I bought one, but I was like,
The ones that you lot bought before we'd even completed it, right? Yeah.
There's a number of reasons why I didn't
But
put it
the
out.
one that you bought when we hadn't completed it at the end.
I was like, oh no, we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
We were optimistic at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably a little bit too early for that.
No, but to do the 3 was definitely a big tick.
Yeah, no, I get that. What was your highlight?
I'm not sure.
Not the weird spicy Thousand Island pasta, that's for sure.
Not hit the
I
ground.
thought we might get onto that when I hit low point, but yeah.
Although it was very entertaining. What's the high? I think probably the high point was getting to the peak of Snowdon, and that was it. We'd done it. You know, not obviously allowing for the fact that we didn't manage to get to the top of Scarfell. Just to have got that far and us all still be in one piece and still laughing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah, I think definitely just having done all 3. But I think a specific one was just Ben Nevis. So I really struggled going up that for a while, like more than I thought I would. Just to hit the top of that and actually like, no,
Yeah,
this
that's
is mega. I was quite pleased with myself.
Big achievement.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the low point?
I think the low point was definitely coming off Scafell Point peak and being soaked right through, struggling in the toilet to get out of the wet clothes and into dry clothes and find things in the bags, get the bags back in, and then walk out and the van's gone. That was a pretty low point.
Yeah, the van potentially disappearing was definitely a low point for me, I think. It was definitely up there, yeah. What about for you, Kelly?
It's definitely the food.
Yeah.
The food.
Yeah.
I think through the trip, I was hoping that we'd have had a couple more actual meals that made sense as well. But I think also from
didn't
actual
get any meals.
no.
No, the meal front was a little bit on the sparse side, unfortunately. Yeah.
The Burger King was the
It's
closest we
makeshift.
came to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is true. This is true.
Yeah.
What would your advice be to someone who was thinking about doing 3 peaks, whether it be in a 24-hour,
Yeah.
a 2-day, a 3-day, anything like that? What would your advice be?
Been laughing so much she's crying.
Train for it.
Yeah.
And train well for it. And make sure that the company that you use are capable of giving you what they're offering, and that you at least have a place to keep your bag and to sit comfortably and possibly be able to sleep.
Yeah.
If you're doing the 24-hour challenge. I think if you were doing it over 3 days, then that wouldn't be necessary because you'd be sleeping in the hotel overnight and everything would be in daylight. I don't think I would get as much satisfaction out of that. I think that's the easy route.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Like, there's something about knowing that you've tackled the hardest challenge.
Yeah.
Like that for me is the challenge, you know. If you give yourself extra time, it gives yourself breathing room.
Yeah.
It feels like you're cheating a little bit.
Especially
even
knowing
if you're not.
if the weather had been kind to us, we would have done it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That's
Sense.
the only thing. Yeah.
What would your advice be?
Do it. I mean, like, I don't know, I'm never one to hesitate with stuff like this, and I think, like, if someone wants to challenge themselves and really push themselves, like, it's definitely a good one to try and do.
Yeah.
But I think at the same time, definitely don't underestimate what it is. That it's not your usual walking, the pace that you have to go at to try and get the time, the hills, all of that kind of stuff up and down. Like, serious training, definitely, for it.
What if anything, what did you feel unprepared for, looking back on it now? other than the food and the bus?
I think the only thing I felt unprepared for was a lack of space, of being able to get into my bag and get the stuff out that I'd brought that was going to be useful to me. I think that was the only thing that kind of let me down.
Yep.
You know, it's not really anything else that I think I would do differently.
That's good though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think for me, it would just be doing even more of the cardio stuff and just
Yeah.
preparing myself that way. I was a bit lazy with that. I started and then I stopped. Otherwise, I don't know, I felt like I was quite prepared. Other than that.
I think the vast majority do.
Yeah.
Of us were
Yeah, I agree.
prepared for it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Best location out of the three?
Well, Scaffold Pike would be hard to judge because the conditions that we arrived and left. But I was, I would find it hard between Snowdon and Ben Nevis, which, and obviously I have a love of Scotland, and you know, I think the views were stunning, and actually when I look back at my pictures, they're not too different. The views of the valleys and the lakes and everything.
Yeah.
So it's, I was very pleasantly surprised at how beautiful Snowdon was. That was the first time I've ever been in Wales at all.
In Wales, okay, cool, nice.
Yeah, we gave her the great first experience, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about for you, best place?
Scaffold Pike for the actual mountain itself and just the fun of it, being in thunder and lightning. But Snowdon for the views, definitely.
So best scenery, you'd say Snowdon?
Or on the way to Fort William.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
But we were in a bus rather than outside, appreciating it. So.
Yeah.
What about the hardest?
The most challenging, difficult with Scaffold Pike. It was challenging because it was in the dark, it was slippery, it started raining. But I've heard so many people say that it is the hardest, the most challenging one to do. It's specifically because it's generally in the dark if you're doing 24 hours. I'm not sure really because we didn't make it to the top of it, but maybe that would have been.
Yeah.
I didn't find it particularly easy. What we did do of it.
I was the opposite. I think that was the easiest one for me, Scaffold Pike. Ben Nevis was the toughest going up. Snowdon was the toughest coming down, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I suppose that's the end of the third one. So your knees are in. I'm hugging my knees because thinking about it. That was
I think when you know you're on the home stretch as well, and there's still that little bit to go.
Yeah.
That's the mental game as well.
Yeah, and that was a lot of hill climbing beforehand.
Yeah, two whole mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or three up at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And lastly, when you look back on it now, how do you feel about that experience?
Very glad that I did it. Very glad that I took the opportunity to do it. Yeah.
Ditto.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would change other than just the bus and the food
No.
No.
The weather.
and the weather?
And there's nothing we can do about
was still
that,
kind of part of it for me.
Yeah. Well, it was exciting to see it, you know, the chucking the down. But yeah, that was the only thing that kind of let us down, though.
Yeah.
And I think without the thunderstorm, it would probably be quite stunning at night going up there.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. So I think I would have really enjoyed getting to the top of there in the dark. So yeah, that's the only thing I would disappointed about.
So Jacqui wants to control the weather.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you could pass that
If
on.
you can, then let me know. Final question is, would you do it again?
I'm not sure.
This is a tough one. Part of me wants to because I want to do the time. But I also, like, once you've done it once, you kind of don't want to do it again. You don't want to ruin that, like, first time and adrenaline and just doing it. I don't know.
And the problem is that you might not be able to do two of them.
Yeah.
So
True.
the weather's always going to be the
This
enemy.
is the thing.
So, you know, you organise it, pay the money and everything, and you still... We got very close to it, and so I don't know if I don't think I would do it again.
I think I'm going to have to. It's just like, it's slightly niggling in the back of my mind.
It's,
I'm gonna have to do
it's
it
that.
At some point. Not quite sure
You've
how
got a
or
lot
when.
more time than me. Got other boxes to tick.
It's fair. This is fair enough. This is fair enough. Well, look, listen, thank you very much for your time, both of you. And it was a pleasure to actually kind of share that experience with both of you as well, which is great. Thank you very much. Ladies and gents, that is episode 4 in the books. Remember, like it, follow it, subscribe to the YouTube, and we'll see you again very, very soon for episode 5.